The Flash issue 74, Mark Waid writing with Greg LaRocque on the art. This is the first proper part of the return of Barry Allen. Of course, we had the cliffhanger from last issue, the Christmas issue, and this is a New Year's issue, just to follow up on that a little bit.
Mm.
But yeah, I think my favorite thing about this is that Wally is convinced by the end, probably wrongly because I assume Barry's going to turn out to be something. I do like that Wally the entire issue is like, I don't trust this. This is too good to be true. Why should we all just accept that Barry's back? This is fishy.
Yeah, I mean, down to like the title of the issue that you get on the first page on this big splash is trust.
Yeah, so makes a lot of sense. And we get a little glimpse of the psycho pirate and all that stuff in the flashbacks at the start, but and there's a little bit of tension as Wally's trying to like, oh, how do I tell him that I have taken his name? How do I tell him that I have taken the mantle of the Flash? And
it kind of just happens.
Yeah, he basically just sits up without thinking about it, and it's like, oh shit, okay, well I guess that's out in the open now. I am now the Flash. Deal with it, Barry. Barry talks about how he kind of had amnesia at first, but then he saw the statue at the museum, and it kind of
came back to him.
Yeah, although not everything's still a bit fuzzy in the ending and kind of why he's back, but Hal's there to corroborate that he's telling the truth with the ring. Which it does.
He would know almost better than anyone.
Yeah. So he's like, hey, everyone calm down. It seems to be him. But he's asked not to tell the Justice League yet. Let Barry kind of get settled in and everyone get to grips with this. But there's some fun stuff. It pokes at the differences since his time, where Pied Piper, who's now not a villain, shows up to give Wally some intel that something's going on. And Barry like speeds over and tries to like pin him to the ground. And Wally's like, no, Barry, stop it. He's fine. Like, he's a good guy now.
Piper's like, Wally, what's going on?
Yeah.
And Barry's like, he knows your identity.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I do think the art. See when Wally suits up, Barry's got this like smile on his face, looking at him. That
I like the art, but I think there's a weird problem with what it's telling me in the narration, because the narration's saying, "Oh, he's weirded out." That's written all over his face, and I'm like, he doesn't look weirded out.
It could be an awkward smile, I guess. I mean, the art on its own, I like. You can.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it looks almost like a proud smile, though, which probably should have come on the next page, given what the story is. But just with that specific narration box right there, it didn't sit right with me in that particular panel.
Oh well. But we get this plot where they have to help this gangster, essentially, who is targeted for assassination. There's a new gangster in town who wants to take out the old mob boss, and the current mob boss always buys out the entire amusement park in Central City, or Keystone City even, every year on New Year's. So it becomes this like having to essentially look for these three snipers in the amusement park. And I think it leads to some fun sequences where they encounter the mob boss at first, but then they're running around and they find one up in the roller coaster, and they find another one in the... I don't know what you call that ride. It's like
I don't know the name for it either.
We've all seen it. It's just think carousel, but instead of it being a carousel, it's more like a spider legs that just spin around.
Yeah, it's like carousel meets a Ferris wheel.
Yeah. There you go. And we've all seen this thing. I just don't think it's got a name, or if it does.
I mean, it probably does have a name, just no one knows it except Carney's.
Except Carney's. And then the last one's in the House of Mirrors, which I mean they call it a mirror maze, but
same thing.
And there's the assassins like right behind one of the mirrors, and it's a fun little sequence. I mean, I had a lot of fun with all this middle stuff. It was just like a nice sequence of panels. It was all just solid action. Them trying to figure out where they're coming from and sort of problem solve things out. It was an example to show off the differences between them and all the rest of it.
Credit to the art that there's always just enough difference between their suits that it's clear who's who at a glance.
Yeah, well, this is a bit darker. Obviously, the belts get more of the pointed center.
It's also got more of like a sheen to it in the colors. Like it's like a different material. I think it's really effective. It's like a little, it's like almost reflective looking.
I would say it looks more velvety.
Okay,
Would be how I'd describe it.
fair enough. But either way, the point is it's clearly textured differently to Barry's.
Yes. But then Barry at the end goes to Iris's grave finally, and sort of cries there and says how much he misses her. There's the fireworks of New Year's are going off in the background. And that's when Wally steps out and says that he finally trusts him. Because all issue, he's like, something's not right. Like, this is too good to be true. And he's sort of questioning everything Barry's doing, he's thinking about and he's questioning. That's what the narration really is. That's what a lot of the actual reading of the issue is. But then when you get to the end, he's like, no, now I trust you because he overhears him say everything to Iris's grave. And he's like, okay, I believe you're Barry now. And they have a bit of a heart to heart about why he waited so long to talk to her. And it's like, well, because that's me accepting that this new year is now a new life without her. Now it's just I have to go on now and be someone. And then it's like, there's stuff to go do as the Flash. So they put their masks back on and they speed off, but the fireworks behind them. It's a very happy issue, which totally doesn't mean that things are all going to get really bad in the next few.
What's interesting is it's a really happy ending, but it's not a happy issue.
True.
Which I think is a little bit different because it's maybe just enough that it goes through the motions of, no, this isn't right. And then so by the end where it's like, okay, no, things are okay, it maybe lulls you into a false sense of security rather than that traditional, storytelling trope of, okay, well, everything's really happy, so now it's going to come crashing down. Because we had the rough patch and then we got the good bit at the end, it functions differently, I think. So even though we know it's all going to go badly wrong, I do think the actual structure of the way it tells its story is actively trying to subvert that.
That's basically what I meant.
Sure.
Well, it is. I mean, when I say it's a happy start, I didn't necessarily mean it was happy every page of the book. I just meant it ends in this really happy note where they've learned a lesson, and they're running off together, and it's this cheery thing where
I get where you're coming from, but I think usually when you talk about that in stories, it's the happy moment at the start, like, oh, it's too happy right now, and that would be immediately after he returns, where everyone else is happy. That's when you go, okay, this has to go crashing wrong. I think because we have the questioning of that, it's actively trying to subvert that feeling that you're describing.
I would say the subversion. I think there's merit in what you're saying about what it's doing from a story perspective. I think you actively have to phrase it like something that's counteracting something I'm saying for no reason, and I don't know why.
I'm right.
You're not wrong. But the point I'm making though is that the distinction is not really that important. I don't think the mechanic I was talking about where things are so happy it means they're going to go crashing wrong. It doesn't really matter if that's at the start of the story, it doesn't matter if it's the end of the story. It doesn't matter if it's the start of the next issue. The point is that in storytelling, especially in a serialized story, that once things get too happy, it means something bad's about to happen to someone.
That's fair.
Right? That was the simple part of it. What I will agree with, and what I do think is a good idea on this story, is that it didn't make Wally look an idiot because he didn't just buy it at face value right away. And two, because it proposed all these ideas, when it does start teasing things, because a lot of modern stories, when they start showing a character act out of character, and it's like, oh, well, we have to assume that he's either mind controlled or he's been taken over, is a shapeshifter, whatever, so that we're not upset that they're writing a character incorrectly. And I think here, having that all these questions happen first means that when Barry does do something that feels a bit off, we've already got all these things in our head. So we're immediately back to, okay, the story's kind of planted the seed for us not to trust it, even though it gave us the happy ending there. Those seeds are already in our mind. So
yeah, and I appreciate as well, as much as we like Wally here for not immediately trusting it, I don't think it paints anyone else in a bad light. Like, Hal comes in and by the time he flies off, he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Barry. But it's not like he just, spoke to him for 5 minutes and went, yeah, we're good. He had to, spent some time with him. All the scans check out. It sounds like they did enough because I think they say a week's passed, right? Because it was Christmas before, so it is like they have spent time trying to figure this out. It's not like anyone's just leapt to this immediately.
Would you like a round of applause for realizing that New Year's is a week after Christmas?
No, I wouldn't. I'm not sure it was, the last time, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, it's a good issue. It's a good issue. And the art's from Low Rock is typically solid. Mostly gets to have fun with the amusement park stuff more than anything else here. But yeah. What are you giving The Flash 74?
I'm going to give it an 8. I think the start and the end are really effective. I think the middle stuff in the amusement park, it's fine, solid action stuff, but it doesn't rise above anything else.
I will also give it a solid 8 out of 10.